One of my goals has always been to bring science and the paranormal together. Paranormal is just science undiscovered or misunderstood.
Every time I keep asking how good can it get, this prompts the participatory universe to provide us with answers that we genuinely do want to live the answer to.
Hello, my name is Christopher Anetra. You know me as the Quantum Businessman.
And I say, you know what, I don't need to know where I'm headed. I thought I knew where I was headed before and I didn't end up there. So why worry about where I'm headed? Why not just accept this now moment, trust that whatever guided me here with you guys that I feel is divine is going to continue to guide me.
And hello, everyone. This is the International Mandela Effect Conference. Today, I am Cynthia Sue Larson, and with me are two more of our board members. We've got Shane Robinson of Unbiased and on the Fence, and Christopher Anetra. You know him as the Quantum Businessman.
Hey, everybody.
And Jerry's power's off at the moment, so he might
join us. Yeah, he might pop in at any moment. That would be great. And today we'll be talking about the wonderful, exciting news about, actually it's kind of strange and mysterious news about drones. And we're going to start with a slide to catch people up if they don't know anything about this topic yet, because it is a little bit new. First of all, I don't know if people are aware that we have a Space Force now. It's existed for several years, and I haven't heard much about it, but they're actually putting out a call. They're calling all Guardians and putting out the request, sign up with the Space Force. It sounds like a joke or a TV show, but it's not a joke. Have you guys heard much about this, Chris and Shane? No.
This is cool. No, I haven't seen this. It is. I thought it was a new show you guys are going to talk about.
I know.
Like, is this on Netflix?
I know, right? And I was playing around a little bit with that Grok, the free AI, and I did a couple of joke images. It didn't really show me looking like me, but it looked like someone kind of like me with Rocket Raccoon and Groot, that little, the team from Guardians of the Galaxy. And I thought this was like that. This is not a joke. This is not some AI creation. This is real. And the other thing I want to bring people up to speed with, if you haven't heard about the drone situation, is to be aware that there is someone named Cliff High, Cliff with one F, H-I-G-H. He has a Substack. He's got a Twitter account on X. And he posted this very interesting comment recently, which I think is worth mentioning because he's the gentleman that was predicting that we would be seeing something called Melee. And to explain a little backstory on Cliff, we've talked about him before from time to time, and he's got some software that he's been using for the last 15, 20 years to predict coming events based on the idea that all humanity is basically psychic, that we are tapped into the future in a very real sense, and that we can sometimes, without knowing it, talk or use language on the internet, which is emotional release language and trigger point language, so it'll indicate confluence of events. And in this case, he was suggesting that there would be something called Melee happening at a point 39 days after Joe Rogan interviewed Donald Trump. And that might not seem that weird, except his prediction was more than a decade ago. And Shane, you remember this, right?
Yeah, it was actually from 2009, I think, is when it first started coming up. So we're talking like 15 years in the making, this prediction.
Right. And there were a number of years that Joe Rogan didn't have a podcast. And why would the whole thing is just out of nowhere. It's before Trump became president. It was just weird that it would be 39 days to Melee. And Melee was not explained. So now here's this post that you're looking at. And Cliff is saying, note that our definition of Melee is where command is absent within active contention. That's a emotional release word. Contention is the kind of thing he's looking for, resulting in individuated decisions producing chaos. And then he's asking who's in charge here. So let's take a look at the next slide, talking about our drone situation. And Chris, if you want to say something, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to mention too, so that call to the Guardians,
yes,
that Space Force, I believe they're located in Greenland.
What?
I don't know if you guys have heard about that, because
no.
I had, a few years ago, I'd done some research on that. And from what I can't remember all the details, but I remember it was based in Greenland.
That's very interesting for a whole bunch of reasons, which we're not going to get into all of that right now. But if you've got some,
just throwing that out there.
that is super interesting.
Yeah.
So the Greenland then would be much closer to one of our two poles, like the North Pole, clearly, and there could be some reason for that. South Pole has a lot of interest lately too, with the whole UFO drone thing. So this is the image here on the screen is basically a photograph of something when it's moving. When you see a video of this, and it shows that there's like a sphere inside of a sphere rotating, and they're going at different directions. And there's the comment made here that this image in real life, shot recently this last month, is as close as it gets to the biblical Ezekiel's wheel, a wheel within a wheel rotating on its own axis. And then the comment was, they aren't drones in the sky, history repeats. So we're looking at something which really is quite different than anything I've ever seen. And I don't know what you guys think about this one, but it's pretty new for me.
Pretty cool.
Although it is old too, apparently, biblical. So it's ancient and new at the same time. So we are seeing that. Okay, the next image, please. This is a still shot from a news report. We're getting news reports from mostly New Jersey, but occasionally places like Texas, the West Coast here in California. They're getting these drone reports. Think Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Texas. There are quite a few places where they've been noticed. But this news clip is saying in the 30 minutes we've been here, we've seen up to 7 drones in the sky above us. And the news crews are reporting seeing drones in New Jersey while they're reporting. And by the way, these reports we're showing did in fact occur 39 days after the interview with Donald Trump and Joe Rogan. So it did actually start on December 3rd, although there'd been some activity, going back a ways. But the heated activity in New Jersey and so forth really got reported first on December 4th, because it started on the 3rd and kind of caught people off guard. So this next slide shows a map of New Jersey and the locations where the drones are kind of flying around. So it's showing, some people were noticing that the drones were kind of following a pattern. They would come up after sunset when the skies got dark. They'd travel up the coastline. Later, people said these drones are coming out of the ocean and reporting they're not regular sized drones, but they're the size of cars or buses. They then traveled through central New Jersey and spent the night in Morris County. And they've been seen in Morris County starting around 6 p.m., which is after dark, to about 5 a.m., right before sunrise. And then they go back out into the ocean, where, again, other people are saying they're going back into the ocean. So any comments from you guys? I know, Shane, I guess you just did a video on this. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I haven't. I didn't talk about one thing that I think is important. I totally forgot to mention, but I think it's important as to who is doing this, and it's like that they took Thanksgiving off. Did you guys know about that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, the drones weren't flying on Thanksgiving?
No, they took Thanksgiving off. So to me, that's like an oversight, a blunder beyond, and it's totally the government when you see something that obviously.
It would seem like it, right? It does seem like it. Seems like they're not telling us everything. Okay. And then the next slide shows another interesting detail that I think is relevant for catching us up to speed. It's the slide on the right. Many witnesses from New Jersey are saying the drones are dropping luminous orbs. The lower flying ones dropped something that looked like a shooting star, really bright, shaped like a light bulb. So that was a quote by Sean Spellman. And this was early December. This is the writing on the right of the slide. On the left, you'll see an image. It's not just happening in New Jersey. Actually, these drone sightings were happening worldwide. This is an image from Italy. It's a fleet appearing over a mountain, and Italians are, apparently this is someone's commenting that Italians are jovial and talkative, and they talk to each other easily on the train, and a friendship develops. Can they develop friendships with, and they're assuming this would be aliens in the same way. And they're saying the aliens are interested in Italians. Well, what we know is these are drones. Nobody that I know for sure is claiming that these are specifically aliens yet, but it's kind of funny. So there's a lot of conversation going on. People are not claiming responsibility. So let's go to the next slide.
I'm just
and
glad
see.
we have Chris Anatra.
Yeah, we've got an Italian here.
Oh, right. Yeah, we're so grateful for you, Chris. You really do add a lot to our community and our team here at IMEC.
I'll keep the aliens at bay. Don't worry.
Thank you.
We'll buy them some pizza.
Yes. Okay. So this next slide shows, this is a still image from Fox News. Here we've got coverage of the incident of all these sightings, because at this point, and I forget what day this is exactly, but it was, December 4th. So this is immediately right after it was really coming in, this melee idea was germinating. Although, as Shane points out, it was the sightings were earlier than this, but it kind of caught fire with the media right around December 4th.
And I think that's how his linguistics works. It's like it became more of a trending, buzzing thing at the more of the date he mentioned. So I think it kind of goes off of that, because he's even talked about bad information from bad things, bad information trending too. So it's sort of our release language.
So this is an interesting picture because I wanted to freeze frame it and cover this one singular remark that apparently the mysterious drones, not only were they flying over U.S. military bases in America and England, maybe other places as well, but they were being reported as following some of the investigators home. And it gets even, here's a quote, "It gets even worse. Some of the FBI agents assigned to look into this reported drones flying over their homes to say, 'I know where you are.'" So the FBI is being investigated, is what we've got there. Okay, next slide. Let's take a look at what these look like again. We got someone that really got a detailed shot of one of these little glowing orbs that got dropped out of one of these large flying car-sized so-called drones. This is a clear image captured by a professional photographer using the Sony, I can't read this, A7IV 600 millimeter lens. This was captured over Little Egg Harbor, New Jersey. And the detail is pretty darn good, but it doesn't look like anything that I've ever seen. So it's unfamiliar. And next slide, another piece of information. You might think, well, why don't people send their own drones up? If these are drones and people have their own drones, where's the good footage of that? Send a drone up in the night sky and get close to it, take a picture. People did try that. And what happened is their drones did not operate, or the power would just shut off inexplicably. It would start up and then fail. And it was, people were asking, what's making this happen? Is this some kind of a jammer or something else? Why don't the drones fly? I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but it's almost like an EMP is what it reminded me of. Like maybe whatever's already up there, these car-sized, bus-sized drones that are dropping the little glowing orbs, maybe they've got some kind of an electromagnetic pulse and they can shut things down. And maybe that's what's happening.
Okay, so what this is inferring to is that they're using some kind of jamming frequency to fly drones. So people, even with recreational drones, can't fly their drones in New Jersey right now, is the impression I'm getting from that.
Right.
And then the other thing too is that what I've been hearing is that they also can't figure out the frequency that some of these drones are using.
Right.
And I wonder if that goes back to World War II. If you guys remember a woman named Heidi Lamar, or Heidi
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
Yeah. And how she was the inventor of frequency hopping technology.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was important for submarine communications and ultimately winning the war, so to speak. So you wonder if they're using some kind of advanced frequency hopping encrypted technology so that the frequency can't be picked up on. It just moves all over the place so quickly, and when it does move, it's encrypted. So these are some possibilities.
They're not finding anything, though. They're not finding any kind of signal coming off. They're not finding even a heat signature. They're not showing up on, FLIR cameras. These things are completely invisible to our technology, so to speak.
Our accepted known technology.
Right, exactly.
Not the unofficial top secret IARPA technology.
Right, because I think that's what I feel like, and that's what came through the session, is that these are humans. Showing their hand.
And we get another clue of that in our next slide, because here's the official Pentagon report. This is just.
I'm sorry. Do you mean humans showing their hand as far as how advanced they are?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you might wonder what's the motivation, but we know the motivation. We've got the trappings of the Middle East conflict, all sorts of possible war. What would be a show of strength for the United States? It would show we've got something, you know it, we know it. We're not saying we have it. We sort of have it. We don't say what it is. Here it is, but we're not going to say it's ours.
Yeah,
So,
and the militaries and other militaries have killed so many people with even old technology.
yeah.
They send drones out, and it's.
But this is something different, and they're showing and showcasing. It's sort of like, look what we've got, which reminds me of stuff that we've discussed a little bit about Ashton Forbes and the missing Malaysian Flight 370, which involved 3 orbs flying in a circle around an airplane that created a wormhole, and then the plane vanished, and then the cell phones of the people on the flight were picked up in Diego Garcia shortly after. So that's all we're going to say. We're not going to conjecture anything, but we're just saying, looks like there's motive, opportunity. We're not saying what's happening. We're just saying, look at that.
You know what, we should create another. We have the green room. We should create another version called the red room. And we get into really the deep stuff that we're not supposed to reveal.
Right. Okay, next slide, Pentagon, please. Let's take a look at what the Pentagon said. They just repeated over and over the same thing. There's no evidence the drones are from a foreign entity or adversary. They are not, I'll sneak in the word official, U.S. military either. Okay. So this is a very interesting statement, because it's not really, it's like if I had a kid and they're saying, I did not do this. I did not make the mess in the kitchen. It's like, well, if you ask the right question, then you can get them to admit, like, yes, I made the mess in the hallway, and then my sister carried the mess into the kitchen. It's like,
well, since this, now the Pentagon's actually saying that they can't even find, they're looking into the sightings, the reports of sightings, not the actual, they say there's nothing that they've even seen at this point. There's nothing abnormal. So far, they said it's just been commercial flights or airplanes or drones or private operators or hobbyists, which everybody knows you're not even allowed to fly them at night. So as far as hobbyists, then how are they legally flying them at night when it's illegal to fly them any time of the night for a hobbyist, right?
And both that, let's keep that thought in mind. And I want to play this. We know we've got a clip, right, Heather? I think we're to the clip, unless there's any more slides. Oh, there is another slide, but I think it's because we want to keep this moving along, because we have another show to do.
Yeah.
And also we've got a clip that's a news report, and it was from many years ago. And it's kind of interesting to think that what we're seeing now might have been seen or foreshadowed before, and you would think if there was something that some shadow arm of the government's not talking about, maybe we would have seen it before. Maybe we did. So maybe something happened in Colorado back in 2019. And I don't know if you've got that clip.
There was another squadron of drones spotted flying over northeastern Colorado last night.
This time near Genoa, which is northeast of Lyman. Denver 7's Lance Hernandez is asking questions.
Drones are a topic of conversation in many small northeastern Colorado towns. The sheriff in Lincoln County pinpointing the area where a rancher spotted a squadron last night.
And said he observed anywhere from 5 to 10 drones over about a 25-mile square radius north in our county.
Sightings have also been reported in Phillips, Yuma, and Washington counties.
Honestly, when I first heard these reports, I thought maybe people were taking criminal activity high tech by stalking out properties.
The drones were apparently spotted flying here in northern Lincoln County, which is home to a giant wind energy farm. Now, none of the local residents out here wanted to talk on camera, but they did tell me they're curious what those drones are all about. So are residents in Lyman.
Maybe they have a infrared or something on them, because in my business we do solar farms, and they do infrared to see how hot the panels are getting.
The big concern, night flying. FAA rules limit drone flying to daylight hours, a half hour before sunrise to a half hour after sunset. That night flying concerning to Faye Venzel.
It's scary.
Why so?
Well, something's happening, and they should have notified someone.
I asked Amanda Brown if she's concerned.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know.
Townsfolk hoping whoever is behind the drones comes forward to put minds at ease.
Okay, thank you. And to wrap, we're going to wrap this up pretty tight. But Chris, this brings up something that I think we all are thinking about with the Mandela effect. Sometimes we see a change in reality and we'll see evidence that things are going backward through time, or there's been some timeline shift. Could you?
Yeah. So for me, when I see all of this, I start to think about the concept of timelines and the concept of how we're in a mode of history where we have all of these timelines that are getting in the process of collapsing and merging. A lot of them already are merging together. And then there's going to be what's called the bifurcation, where there's going to be two main timelines that branch off from one another. So with all of this drone activity, to me, it feels like we're in a timeline where drones are more advanced and there are more of them. So, and then if that were to be true, it would be the same kind of concept. I'll use the example of the Cheshire Cat moon or the smiling moon. So for a lot of us, when we see the moon in that configuration, like it's smiling at us when it's a quarter moon, for example, for myself, most I've seen that was 2 years ago, at the absolute most.
Yes.
I'll talk to other people about it and they'll be like, of course the moon smiles at you, you know? So for some people, it's not news at all. And what I think we should be on the lookout for is if there are people now in this timeline that are, you know, some are like, of course, you know, I always see the flashing lights and the drones in the sky and they dart around and so forth. So, and I was actually, I got a haircut. I was getting a haircut. And I was talking to Walter, who cuts my hair. And we were talking about the drones. And he's like, Chris, I've been seeing that stuff in the sky for the last 4 or 5 years. He's like, so for him, it was not new. He's like, why are they talking about it now? Like to him, it wasn't new. So it's a possibility that for something that we could consider, that we're in a timeline where there's more drone activity. And I think there'll be more things revealed to this, whether it's secret military or even private corporations doing whatever work, you know, they're doing as well. So it could be that we've merged in with a timeline where drones are more and much more advanced than they were before. It's a possibility. There's a lot of other questions like the plasma versions, like there's a lot of other things going on.
Yes.
But I just wanted to kind of drop that in as a possibility as well.
Thank you so much. And Shane, last words, just real short.
Yeah, I'll say really early on that most of what they were reporting were drones did not have the bzzz sound. They didn't have the little propellers. They would look nothing like drones. They might have been small in size, but and unmanned, but they did not look like what they've been showing on the news lately. So I feel like they're almost like sending all of this stuff out or promoting the propeller type drones to sort of take attention away from the advanced tech ones that clearly they're not making sounds. They're moving in unusual ways. We're not detecting them. And yeah, so I think they're muddying the waters a little bit with the propeller.
Thank you so much. We're going to bring this episode to a close for right now, but thank you. And we're just going to say for IMEC, on behalf of all of us, thank you so much. And together we go.
Together we
grow. Thank you so much. Love you so much.